Flyers TV is sponsored by the Bay Hotel.
Yeah, I mean they're a team that we've, essentially dominated the last 2 years, and the last couple times out they've turned one on us, and credit to them, they've played pretty simple hockey and capitalized on our mistakes, which they're a team that does that. And these are 4-point games. I mean, it's a cliche, but this time of year, I mean, you can't afford to drop games, especially within conference. And every one of these games are must-win games for us, especially against the Edinburghs and the Dundees and the teams in our conference. So with Braehead on Friday, it's a big game, and then we go into Saturday at home, and like I said before, we cannot afford to drop these conference games, especially at home. And we just got to play our game and then stick to the game plan, and then hopefully get those goals that are desperately needed to win hockey games. They got guys that are reasonably sound on both ends of the ice, and Dobrin's, I think, quite solid at the back end. He's one of the top defensemen in the league, and they got guys up front like Hartman himself, and guys like Lineweaver and Horna that can burn you. So they got some skill up front, and like I said, they play that, they take the puck back, and they they like to keep that puck possession, and you know what, they force you into pressure them and make mistakes, and then they hit you on the brakes. So we got to play a smart game, but play with a lot of energy and try to make it our style of game rather than theirs. He's a good player and a good coach. He has them playing a certain style that when it does work, it's effective. But obviously, just like any style, if something counters it, it can work against them. But he's got those guys drilled pretty good, and when they are on the same page, they're a good hockey club. So I think they've found it tough this year with consistency as well, and scoring goals. I think just like us, I think a lot of their issues have been similar to ours. But like I said, it's something we can't get caught up in, and it's something we just have to focus one game at a time and have our best on that night. And like I said, scoring goals is something that we got to find a way to start doing. And I don't know if people realize when you fail to score goals, the amount of pressure it puts on the rest of your game, and the amount of times we've come out in the first period of games and outplayed teams, and we go into the dressing room tied or even down a goal, and then you're chasing the game rather than being in control of it, and it makes the game a lot tougher. And when you got to do that night in, night out, it gets frustrating, and it gets tough, and it gets tougher and tougher to play week in, week out. So like I said, we just got to find a way to start scoring goals. Plain and simple. Yeah, I thought the weekend against Dundee we had two very, very good hockey games. Unfortunately on the Sunday, sometimes you play well and you come up a bit short, and again, our inability to score goals. I mean, there was times during that game where we had grade A chances right in front of the net, a couple empty nets, and they just don't go in, and I just don't. It's frustrating for us. It's frustrating for the players themselves more than anybody, and I'm sure it's frustrating for the fans as well. But even last night in the Cardiff game in the Challenge Cup, I mean, we had 2 or 3 just wide open nets, and you're ready to put your arms up, and then all of a sudden the puck doesn't go in, and I just think to myself, that just sums up our season right there so far. But you know what? The 2 games against Dundee, like I said, we had good team performances. I mean, we held a pretty good offensive team to under 30 shots both nights, especially in their rink is a pretty good achievement. And we gave ourselves a chance to win on both nights. And like I said, unfortunately on the second night we came up a bit short. But if we put in those performances night in, night out, which again is an issue with that consistency, we'll get a lot more results than we have been doing. But it's easier to say that than to do it, and these guys got to find a way, and we got to find a way to make sure we do show up every night and play like that. As far as I'm concerned, if we didn't make the playoffs, it would be a disaster. I mean, we've, and a lot of everybody's, taken a part in this, in part to blame. I mean, no one's faultless in this, and we put this team together in the summer, thinking that we had made a lot of upgrades, and on paper, compared, not after last season, but the team we assembled last year coming into the season with the resumes before, we thought this team would be a bit stronger. And obviously sometimes that doesn't work out, and we don't have hundreds of scouting reports and guys over there. We're going by trustworthy people that word of mouth and references from guys. And a couple guys didn't pan out the way we had thought, and weren't as creative offensively as we thought. And essentially that lies on us, as part of the recruit. And so in saying that, we got a good group of guys here that we just got to find a way to get the best out of them. And we've, like you've said before, we've seen spurts of it. We've beat pretty much every team in the league at some point this year, in away as well, in tough barns to go and win games. And there's no reason why we can't do it again. We just got to find that consistency and start scoring goals. Blairsy's done a fantastic job for us, absolutely fantastic. If I'm being honest, I think he even exceeded my expectations. He played really well for us, and I think the team played well defensively in front of him as well, so I don't want to take credit away from them. But yeah, Blairy was great. He made stops when he had to, and that's what a goalie does. And in saying that, we get Kevin back this week. He'll be in tomorrow morning, so he'll be in time, get a practice in and feel the puck and be ready for Braehead. And you know what, Blairsy did a fantastic job, and it gives us more confidence in using him in the future, I think. But in saying that, Kevin's top end goalie at this level, and again, a quality guy like him back in the lineup, it just boosts the club even more. And it makes us even more confident now that we got two top goalies that we know that we can go to at any point in the season.